Sound check, it's all right? You want a sound check? My full name is Ronald Baker.
Where were you born?
Where was I born? Oh, I was born in Hastings. My dad was stayed and got back in the army after the war. I was born in Hastings, part of it. He was posted to Hastings. So my twin brother and I were born there.
Your father was in which war?
Oh, he was in the Second War and stayed in after a short period in Sydney Street, went back in the army after that.
So your dad's name and your mum's name?
Oh, my dad's name. My dad's name is John Sonny Baker. People called him Jackie Baker. And my mother's name, people called her Rangi, but my mother's name is Rutu Tawhio Rangi Baker. But they both come from the East Coast.
Which part of the East Coast?
Most places. My mum was born in a place called Mangatuna, which is just out of Tolaga Bay. Although she has connections further north, and her name comes from Ruatoria, from Mangahani, where her grandmother really is from. And my dad comes from up that way, Ruatoria way, the northern part of the coast, from Waipiro and over Waimatatini and Mahia. And part of them also comes from the Bay of Islands up here in the north. I mean, you know, it was a bit unusual to have multiple births in the 50s, particularly for Māori people. So my dad has twin sisters, and both my grandfathers were having a debate about our names, what our names should be. So to change, for example, my mother wanted to name me after her great-grandfather, Tamakitarangi, which was my grandfather's grandfather. He didn't want that, he wanted some other things. And so these two old fellas were always having a heated debate on the marae, so to stop order, I got Ronald Tuakana, which I was the firstborn, and my brother was Rodney Tainer. To stop these two old fellas' debates. There were 4 more after us, after brother and I. There were 2 more before us. We had, I've got an older sister, my dad, although things weren't talked about that until after he passed away, but I had an older sister who was born just before the war, before Mum and my parents got married in 1939. And whilst my dad was going overseas in the war, they never had any children. So they adopted my older brother before Dad went away in 1942 or something around there, and named him after Dad in case something happened to him over the war. And I wasn't born till 1950. And they'd been married 11 years before I was born. So they're older than us.
So your iwi are?
And all of them from the East Coast. Ngāti Pro, Taitanga, Hauiti, which is all from Gisborne north around Tolaga Bay. Waipiro, the whanau, Rākairoa, where my dad comes from. Aitanga Mate, whanau Rua Taupere, and the whanau o Rongamai Wahine from Mahia, Kahununu, all those eastern coastal tribes. And my dad, Tupuna, was born in a whaling boat in Russell, the other side of Russell, and when the whalers came here. So Tupuna's from around where those ashburies are, Urumahoi, from Urumahoi, and from Parafo in Whangarei. That's where she came from.
Sure. So you mentioned you were born in Hastings. Tell us a little bit about your upbringing, where you grew up, those sorts of things.
From Hastings, the old man was posted to Papakura at the camp. We originally, I grew up there until I was about 1955.
So you were still in the army when you came back from the Second World War?
Yeah. Yeah, in 1955, he tendered his resignation because they had this new conflict over in Malaya, and he was going to be posted there. There was 5 of us kids then, so he decided to retire. But he was posted to Auckland, and he was the area commander of Auckland for a long time. Then he retired, so we just lived in Auckland. And as we so I grew up really in Auckland from the age of 6, in the eastern suburbs, over the new housing divisions that they had built out in Panmure and around Point England and around Mount Wellington, GI.